Okay, this video is going to detail some updates and improvements I've made to my fastest brushed FPV build. Okay, I'm going to start off by talking about the two main performance upgrades I've made, and that's changing to these 66mm FPV racer propellers. These are often available under many different names. You can generally be identified by these two lines here. They always seem to fit really nice, and they seem to be a little bit more efficient and offer just a little bit more thrust than the gem fan propellers that I was previously using on the build I had spec'd out. And the next main performance upgrade is jumping up to these 500 milliamp hour Banca 1S high voltage LiPo packs, and they really seem to add probably another 10-15% of thrust over a standard LiPo. Really makes a difference, and I highly recommend them for a build like this if you're looking to get maximum performance. Then the other two big changes that I made, starting off with going to a whip style canopy. This is working great. I haven't really noticed any drop in signal quality versus a clover leaf, and that kind of inspired me to develop a canopy for it that just kind of allows these all-in-one camera transmitter combos to be just kind of sandwiched right in there. Most of the readily available ones can fit right in here. Kind of gives a nice tilt back for the camera, about 40 degrees. And this is also compatible with the original roll bar, so if you did want to run a clover leaf, you could totally do that as well. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and run through a build, and then hopefully put up a small video of one of these flying. I don't really have it tuned in the greatest, but at least maybe give you an idea of the performance capabilities of something like this. Okay, I'm going to start this build by installing the motors into the motor mounts and then the motor mounts onto the frame. This should pretty much be a press fit. When installing the motors into the motor mounts, just want to make sure that the back is supported and that you don't push on the motor shaft here. And these motor mounts are just some of the standard wide arm motor mounts, and I've gone ahead and blackened them up with a Sharpie. Okay, now I'm going to install the 4 micro rubber bands that are included with the frame. That'll pull the motor wires right up tight to the bottom of the frame. Okay, now since I know I'm going to be installing the windshield style canopy, I'm going to go ahead and drill the 3 holes necessary for that. I just have a number 62 size drill bit. It's the same one that's used to drill the 1mm propellers out. Just going to kind of eyeball this at the front, try to center that up. Make sure I'm halfway through the frame. That looks pretty good right there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and get these ends of these motor wires pulled up through the frame before installing the flight controller. Just makes routing these wires a little bit easier. Make sure that hole that was drilled at the front. So at the front I have a Quantum 32 here with some double-sided tape on the bottom I'm going to be installing. I'm going to bias it a little bit towards the back just to make sure it doesn't interfere with that windshield canopy when it starts to bend backwards right at the front of the frame there. Okay, now this flight controller does not have the plugs installed, so I'm going to be clipping the ends of the wires off and then soldering that up, and I'll do that quickly, then we'll get on to the next section of the build. Okay, now I'm going to install the canopy. For this one I'm going to be using the one with the tabbed cutouts here. I also have one to show that's the solid canopy, and this one just makes securing the camera a little bit harder. It's going to require hot glue probably, or some other type of adhesive to really get your camera in there. With just one, you can just use a loom band coupled with some adhesive foam tape, which is included, to just get your camera secured right in there. These are the 3 screws that are included, and I've gone ahead and just hit mine with a black Sharpie, just kind of blend everything in. I have a small screwdriver here. I'm going to start with the front of the canopy. Okay, that's screwed in just like that. Put a screw in the hole for this tab. Just bend it right around. Screw it all the way in, and then do the same thing on the other side. Now the canopy's taken shape. Okay, now I'm just going to take a loom band and stretch that across these little C-shaped cutouts. Just pull it over the tab on each side. Now that that's stretched across the back there, it should make the installation of the camera a little easier. Okay, now before installing the camera, I'm going to swap the antenna over to this whip style one, and I've been getting great results with them. One thing I like to do is just take a foam pad, stick it down to the surface, flip the assembly over like this. It kind of gives a poor man's vice for the soldering on the back. Probably should turn this a little bit. Kind of bend it up as I go. There we go. Let's get that last little pin in the middle. That one's off. Okay. Okay, now I've already pre-bent the antenna a little bit. That'll kind of make things a little easier when so I like to kind of have a horizontal angle, and when the camera's angled back some, this has somewhat of a bend to it. It'll kind of give it that horizontal angle so it won't get impacted if there's an inverted crash. Now another thing that I like to do to reinforce the whip antenna even further is to actually have solder to these front 2 pads as well. It's kind of hard to get the solder to pull around and catch to the pads, but if you put a piece of wire across there, it works pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And you can see that catches right into the base of the antenna, so it's connected on both sides now. Very secure. It's about as good as it's gonna get it, as good as it's gonna get anyway. Okay, so now I'm gonna install the camera into the canopy here. Basically just have 2 pieces of the foam tape here that I've cut out, small ones to cushion the sides of the camera. It's also going to help secure it in place. Just kind of put them on there like that. Come back here and just pull this rubber band out that was previously installed, a loom band. Just pop the camera assembly in there. Push it up in. And let the loom band pull it into place. Pretty well secures it into place. You know, you can secure it further with hot glue. And the angle can be adjusted a little bit by increasing the amount of foam on the bottom or top. You just cut small pieces to kind of bias this a little bit more one way or another. It's kind of set up to be around 40 degrees with the stock angle. If you bias it up a little bit, you can get it to about 45, and if you push it downward, you can get it down to probably about 30 degrees. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the propellers. I'm using these 66mm FPV racer ones. They also go under some other names. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do is put some more loom bands on to help secure the battery. If you look here on the canopy, has these tabs that extend past the frame. I'm just going to take a couple of these, give them a twist as I go across. And I'm going to take a third one. This just makes them a little easier to grab as a bunch, and loop it around the two that are stretched across the tabs. If you see here, one of these high voltage Banca packs that I've been using conveniently, fits right in there. And the only thing really left to do on this build is to get power to the camera, and this is just going to be a matter of wiring this up, and I'm going to save that from the video because it's a pretty straightforward procedure.